The old McCAINS, you've done it again. Here we are walking around the McCAINS facility in Smithton. Just had a lovely chat with the general manager. We were standing outside his window reading something on the window, and he came out and asked us in. Most people would find this as boring as batshit, but of course it's my background, process control and all that. They process about 20 tonnes potatoes an hour, 24 hours, 7 days. On productive capacity. That was quite interesting. And the high loss rate, I should have asked him about what they do with that waste. I understand the potatoes are chemically peeled, so they possibly aren't able to be used. And after that, I guess there's not much waste except flash off of moisture. So these igloos are potato storage. I'm walking in a hole. This will be definitely a piss poor production. So all that gear out the front there, that grey looking thing, is controlling the climate inside those igloos. Love to see how that works. This one over here's got a big switchboard probably controlling. Oh yeah, the switchboard's running more than one shed. So there's your climate control operation. So they process 20 tonnes an hour, and the yield is 10 to 13 tonnes out of that 20. So quite a loss. What I should have asked him is what happens to that loss, what happens to the peels. It's quite late actually, it was about 6 p.m. and he noticed us, he must have been looking at something on his outer wall. Can't remember what it was, and he came out and asked us in. I had many questions. I didn't get to ask all that I wanted, and he had no requirement or obligation to answer any of them from a random off the street. So some of the answers I didn't quite believe, but as I said, he didn't have any obligation to answer anything I asked. One of the ones I struggled with was I asked about the rancid smell of oil at some times and how often they replace their oil. He said with technology today they hardly ever replace their oil. Not quite sure I'm 100% au fait with that. Technology's great, but I personally think the oil's still going to break down given heat and stuff going through it all the time. Of course it's all automated, whereas in my game we used external firms for the process control software. These guys have got them all on site, employed as part of McCAINS. Those climate things are quite interesting. So it's quite a big place. The gentleman told us that if they could get more potatoes, they would certainly like to grow. I think he said 1988 this factory was built. It's also difficult retrofitting shit. So as you can see up there, there's some new venting stuff going up there. A couple of bits of steel on some big girders across the roof, and no joy and all that sort of commissioning. But anyway, you got to do what you got to do. I wish I'd have asked him about the oily film on the car, and each morning with moisture on the car as well, it was oily and it was white. If you add some water, some moisture to a film of canola oil, that's what you get, a white colour. He was very generous though. He gave us a beanie and a cap and a quite expensive book on the history of McCAINS. Of course they compete with Simplot up in Ulverstone. By the time we'd finished talking, he thought I was a process engineer. Nothing could be farther from the truth. The guy at McCAINS also talked about employment, because employment has been a big issue for the business I once worked for and around the country in general. And he said, as everywhere, they find it difficult. But they've got a really interesting patch coming up where a group of employees that have been there for 35 plus years are about to retire in a block. And so he said that's going to be particularly challenging, but they're planning for it. Business I work for, head in sand, hope it goes away and just continue to get messier. Now here are some of those murals in town. A couple on McCAIN property. In the arty duck, the arty duck.
Oh, let's see this.
The whole value discussion. This college kitchen, bakehouse, something else. Next level was maybe 3 times we dined there, or
dined on their produce. Decently big pies, $6.50. Really good pies, excellent value. There was something in their sweets cabinet I wanted to try. Staved off buying it for a couple of days and decided, well, I'll get it tomorrow. But he'd rotated what he was making, so I missed out on what was a delightful looking thing. I can't remember what it was. Sort of a mixed berry-ish sort of a thing. I didn't really need it. Next door to the Cottage Kitchen Bakery is an outlet for Cape Grim beef, and the folks from the Arthur River Cruise buy their Cape Grim beef from there. We bought some Cape Grim offering as well and ate it over the next few days. Hungry Years Pizzeria across the road from the Cottage Kitchen Bakery. We ate there one night. And Sadie's Takeaway and Dine In. We ate in there one night. We took 2 lunches away for when we were heading into the Tarkine. 2 quite large salad rolls for $14, outstanding. And inside in the dining area, quite a solid photographic exhibition. Doesn't interest some, but I like to have a look at what locals get to see in the area on a regular basis. Now this is up at the lookout, the Smithton lookout, looking out over Duck Bay and essentially the Bass Strait. So we're right up in the northwest. Steam rising in this direction is the McCAINS factory. The McCAINS factory takes up quite a bit of space in town. So for dinner we thought, oh well, we'll try something different and go to the Smithton Club. We'd been to the Bridge Hotel before, but the Smithton Club was lovely inside, but didn't have any customers, had 1 employee and didn't do meals, so we settled on the Bridge Hotel. Astonishing value. So this plate, roast of the day plate, $22. I'm pretty sure at other places it'd be 30 plus. And then they brought out dessert. I actually fell sick, it was that much. And the dessert was particularly sweet. And just to top it off, a bit of an evening trip around, found a couple more murals on the top here. This lit up tree, I wouldn't say it's decorated, just lots of red lights and a few other coloured lights on it there. So we ended our time in Smithton. From Smithton we would move on and go back to Stanley actually for 3 more nights and just cover some more of the northern area of Tasmania from Stanley, as well as climb that nut.